Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the pulse of energy deep within you, a spark, wild and untamed, flickering like a flame in the dark. This is your life force, your creative essence, what Carl Jung called libido. It's not just desire, it's the heartbeat of your soul, the drive to create, to connect, to become whole. But what happens when this flame burns out of control or is smothered by shame? What happens when the very energy meant to empower you leaves you feeling drained, lost, or small? Today, we embark on a transformative journey into the mind of Carl Jung, the Swiss visionary who saw sexuality as a sacred force, a fire that can either consume or illuminate your personal power. From the shadows of the unconscious to the radiant light of self-discovery, Jung's wisdom offers a map to reclaim your vitality and rise into the fullness of who you are. So take a deep breath, open your heart, and let's step into the alchemy of desire. Carl Jung was no ordinary thinker. Born in 1875, he was a mystic, a poet of the psyche, a man who dared to explore the hidden depths of the human soul. Unlike his mentor Sigmund Freud, who saw sex as the root of all human behavior, Jung had a broader vision. He redefined libido as a universal life force, flowing through every act of creation, painting a canvas, writing a story, falling in love, or seeking the divine. Sexuality for Jung was one of its most potent expressions, a bridge between the body and the soul, the personal and the eternal. When channeled with intention, it's a source of immense power, fueling confidence, creativity, and connection. But when misused through compulsion, repression, or hollow encounters, it becomes a leak in the soul, draining the very energy that makes us whole. Picture your libido as a mighty river, carving paths through the landscape of your psyche. When it flows toward purpose, toward art, meaningful relationships, or spiritual growth, it nourishes everything it touches. Your sense of self strengthens, your vision sharpens, your presence becomes magnetic. This is the essence of personal power, what Jung called individuation, the lifelong journey to integrate every part of your psyche into a radiant whole. But when the river is dammed by shame or diverted into shallow streams, like chasing fleeting pleasures, numbing pain with sex, or seeking validation in the arms of the wrong person, it scatters your energy. You wake up feeling foggy, disconnected, as if a piece of your soul has slipped through your fingers. We've all felt this at some point. A moment when desire led us astray, when a choice left us emptier than before. Maybe it was a relationship that promised love but delivered chaos, or a habit that offered escape but trapped us in guilt. Jung would say these aren't just mistakes. They're signals from the psyche, cries for alignment. Personal power isn't about being perfect. It's about living in harmony with your deepest truth. When our sexual choices clash with that truth, we lose vitality, not because of some external judgment, but because we've strayed from the path to ourself, the archetype of wholeness at our core. Let's venture into one of Jung's most profound ideas, the shadow. Imagine a hidden chamber in your mind, a place where you've locked away everything you don't want to face. Desires you've been told are wrong, regrets you can't bear, guilt that burns like a quiet ember. For many, sexuality lives here, shrouded in silence. Maybe it's a past choice you've buried, a longing you've suppressed, or a wound you've never spoken aloud. Jung believed the shadow isn't evil. It's simply human, a part of you that yearns to be seen. But when we ignore it, it grows restless, leaking into our lives in ways we don't expect. Consider someone, let's call him Elias, who carried shame about a brief, impulsive affair. He pushed it down, vowing never to think of it again. But the shadow doesn't forget. It surfaced in his dreams, where a dark figure chased him through endless corridors. It whispered in moments of quiet, making him doubt his worth. He found himself pulling away from his partner, unable to explain why. Jung would say this is the shadow at work, draining Elias's power by forcing him to carry an invisible weight. As Jung wrote, "What we resist persists." Repression doesn't free us, it binds us, stealing the energy we need to live fully. Jung's answer is radical yet simple. Face the shadow. Shine a light into that hidden chamber and meet your buried self with compassion. For Elias, this meant journaling about his shame, exploring its roots in a childhood where vulnerability was punished. It meant sitting with a therapist, unraveling the guilt that wasn't his alone. Through dream analysis, he began to understand the dark figure as a part of himself, longing for forgiveness. By naming and embracing these shadow elements, Elias reclaimed their energy. He felt lighter, more present, as if a fog had lifted. This is the power of integration, turning a thief into a teacher, a wound into wisdom. Now, let's explore the magic of archetypes, ancient patterns in the collective unconscious that shape our desires and dreams. Sexuality for Jung is a gateway to these archetypes, especially the anima and animus. The anima is the feminine spark in men, intuition, tenderness, mystery. The animus is the masculine fire in women, strength, logic, courage. When we feel a surge of attraction, we're often projecting these archetypes onto another, chasing the wholeness we sense in them. A healthy relationship, Jung believed, is a sacred dance. It challenges us to integrate the anima or animus, to embrace the qualities we've yet to claim. Picture a couple who inspire each other to grow. One partner's creativity, sparking the other's, their vulnerabilities forging deeper trust. This is sexuality at its highest, the union that mirrors the psyche's inner marriage. But when we choose partners who don't align with our soul's purpose, perhaps out of loneliness, lust, or fear, we risk a different kind of dance, one that leaves us stumbling. Let me tell you about Maya, a woman I once knew. Maya was drawn to men who seemed bold and charismatic, but each relationship left her feeling smaller, as if her light was dimming. She'd wake up with a heaviness she couldn't name, her confidence eroded. Through Jungian therapy, Maya began exploring her dreams, where a warrior woman appeared, fierce and radiant. This was her animus, urging her to claim her own strength. Maya realized she'd been projecting her power onto others, seeking in them what she needed to nurture within. She started painting, pouring her passion into canvases that glowed with life. She chose solitude over shallow connections, and slowly her energy returned, unshakable and bright. This is the alchemy of the anima and animus, turning projection into integration, longing into power. Sexuality also channels the lover archetype, the embodiment of passion, beauty, and union. Jung saw love as a mystical act, a moment where the ego dissolves and we touch the divine. When sex is conscious, rooted in mutual respect, shared purpose, and reverence, it's transformative, like the alchemical conjunctio, the sacred union of opposites that birth something new. But when we use it to fill a void, to prove our worth, or to escape pain, we reduce it to a transaction. The lover weeps and we're left emptier than before, our power leaking through the cracks of a fractured soul. Jung's concept of the collective unconscious adds a deeper layer. Our sexual choices aren't just personal, they echo the stories of our ancestors, carried in the psyche like whispers from the past. Patterns of infidelity, emotional distance, or trauma can weave themselves into our lives, shaping our behavior in ways we don't see. Jung called these complexes unconscious scripts that act like invisible puppeteers. If your family carried a legacy of broken trust, you might find yourself repeating it. Not because you choose to, but because it's etched in your soul's memory. I once worked with a man named Liam, who struggled to stay faithful in relationships. He felt trapped by his impulses, unaware they weren't entirely his own. Through dream analysis, Liam uncovered images of his father's betrayals, mirrored in his grandfather's silence. These weren't just stories, they were complexes, living in his unconscious. Jung would say Liam was carrying a generational wound, a shadow passed down through blood. Breaking this cycle required courage. Liam traced his family's history, journaled about his fears, and used active imagination to dialogue with the part of him that felt bound. Each step was a reclamation, freeing him to choose love over betrayal. Jung saw this as a heroic act, not just for oneself but for the generations to come, a ripple of healing through the collective unconscious. At the core of Jung's philosophy is individuation, the quest to become whole, to weave every thread of the psyche into a tapestry of power and purpose. Sexuality is a vital thread, a flame that can light the way or burn us down. Behaviors that drain power, repressing desire, chasing hollow pleasures, or staying in misaligned relationships are detours, but they're also invitations. Jung believed the psyche is self-regulating, always seeking balance. That emptiness after a fleeting encounter, that guilt that lingers like a shadow, it's not punishment, it's a call to return to your path. Jung offers tools to answer this call. Dream analysis reveals the psyche's messages, like a map to buried treasure. Active imagination lets you converse with your inner figures, your desires, your shame, turning them into allies. Journaling uncovers hidden patterns, while therapy provides a safe space to unravel wounds. These practices align sexual energy with your purpose. Instead of seeking validation in others, channel libido into creation. Write a poem, build a garden, dance under the stars. Instead of escaping pain, sit with it. Let it teach you resilience. Choose relationships that lift you higher, that mirror your soul's potential. This is the alchemy of desire, turning raw fire into radiant gold. Jung had no patience for guilt that paralyzes. He saw it as a spark, a signal from the psyche urging growth. If you carry shame about your sexual past, don't hide from it. Ask, what need was I trying to meet? What wound was I soothing? Through a Jungian lens, every choice is a step in your story, a lesson in your becoming. By reframing these moments, you integrate them, transforming pain into wisdom. Jung called this amor fati, loving your fate, embracing every experience as part of your growth. In our modern world, sexuality is a battleground. Pornography floods our screens, promising intimacy but delivering isolation. Hookup culture glorifies freedom but often leaves us hollow. Societal pressures, be desirable, be perfect, pull us away from our truth. Jung would see this as a collective shadow, a struggle to integrate the primal and the sacred. His advice? Question the scripts you've been handed. Listen to your inner voice. Channel your fire into what makes you whole, whether it's a loving partnership, a creative passion, or a spiritual quest. Your power lies not in conforming, but in becoming. Carl Jung's vision is a clarion call. Your sexuality is not a chain to break, but a flame to wield. It's the pulse of your aliveness, the key to your power. By facing the shadow, embracing archetypes, breaking ancestral chains, and walking the path of individuation, you transform desire into destiny. You are not your mistakes, your shame, or your past. You are a soul in bloom, rising toward wholeness, radiant with purpose. So feel that fire within. Let it guide you. Step boldly into the light of who you're meant to be. Thank you for joining this journey into the fire within. May Jung's wisdom ignite your path to power and truth. Until next time, keep seeking, keep growing, keep shining.